Hey guys, thank you for another episode of the Success Agent Podcast. Today we have Kevin Mullaney. He is a successful agent out in New Mexico in the Albuquerque area. And he's been doing real estate since 2012. And he is a rock star agent out there. And we are going to talk about today the 5-star prospecting method. But before we get there, Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourself and talk about us about your journey and how you got here.
Well, this morning I woke up and I put socks on first. That's kind of a, no, I'm sorry. You want something a little more specific to real estate?
Yeah. Real
Okay.
estate stuff. I mean,
Real estate,
clothing's
got it.
fine, but
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I'm not sure. We all have journeys.
right?
So I started in real estate in 2012. When I did, I looked at all the models, and at that time, EXP was super new. And I went to this boutique brokerage, and actually the reason I went there is the only agent I knew in real estate, the guy who sold me a house while I was in college, he had his own brokerage. So I'm like, well, who do you know in real estate? That's who you would go sell real estate for, right? Well,
Exactly.
at that same time, he was being approached by a gentleman named Joe Schumerth, who actually brought EXP Realty to New Mexico. And his brokerage of about 20 agents, Jeff's, was getting ready to make the switch. And they said, well, we kind of like EXP, but we also like doing our own thing. You know, we want to be Jeff Rose and Associates with EXP, or so on and so forth. So Jeff and I sat down. I was like 26, 27 at the time. And I was just on fire. I was ready to just, hit the ground running, do something crazy. And I looked at and interviewed with a lot of the models in town. And when Jeff told me that he was looking at EXP, I got onto the website, which at that time, our virtual office was pretty hilarious. Like it didn't look anything like a video game like it does now. I mean, you're looking at these like 2D characters in a 3D world, just like moving around with a picture. Like you don't actually have an avatar. It's just like a picture of your face moving around. Anyways, what I caught wind of and what I thought was super exciting about that was I had zero interest in being inside an office, like a physical office. I had just come from 6 years of the corporate world as a sales manager, trained a whole bunch of people, but I had to be behind a desk and I hated it. I wanted to be out in the public. I wanted to be able to work from anywhere. At that time, like iPads were kind of a new thing and people weren't sure if they were for work or they were for fun or what they were for. So I looked at the model and I said, wait a minute, you're telling me my office goes with me everywhere? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, and like, if I want to take a class, I can just do that from like the lake or like a mountain condo or just anywhere in the world. And they're like, well, yeah. I was like, okay, done. Like, sign me up. The rest of it, I didn't care about. I don't know about splits. I don't know about, anything. I'm just like, well, if you're telling me I can work real estate into the fun that I think I'm about to have, which is, the illusion of we control our own time and we work from anywhere and all that, that's why we got into real estate, right? Because we could work for ourselves and we never had to work late or never had to
Right.
work, weekends or nights.
Unlimited income potential, right?
Yes, because we just work for ourselves, right? Anyways, I looked at EXP. It looked like a good fit and jumped on board. That was 2012. My first year in real estate was my first year with EXP, and I was able to cap in my last month on my last transaction right before my anniversary date. So I didn't know what that was. I didn't know that was a thing. But
Sure.
Jeff, being a seasoned agent, 20 plus years or whatever in the industry, he says, holy cow, you capped in your first year. And I'm like, yeah, I could have done better. I mean, there were a couple along the way that, didn't close or could have closed, whatever. And he's like, no, that's incredible. And so I was like, all right, so what's my next goal? Like, I don't know what good is in real estate. I don't know what great is. I made more money my first year in real estate than I did at my last job. So I'm like, I guess that was a good year. What do I know? So I'll just fast forward. The gentleman who started EXP in New Mexico had an online lead generation system. Would do Google ads or whatever, and he'd generate leads. Well, back then EXP didn't have KV Core, which is an incredible like CRM lead gen system. But what they did have was access to all those tools, access to, classes on how to do Google AdWords, classes on how to do all that stuff. Anyways, Joe had more leads than he had time, and I had more time than I had leads. And so for me, I was like, well, I'll just partner up with somebody who's already bringing in the business. I don't need to reproduce the wheel. I just want to make it go faster. So for me, I jumped on board with him, and I worked leads, internet leads primarily the first 3 years. My second year in real estate, I capped again, but it was in my 9th month. So I kind of beat myself out.
Nice.
And then my third year, I capped in my 3rd month, and then hit Icon, which was super exciting. That was actually the second year they started doing the Icon program, but for me, it was a game changer. What I saw for that was an actual long-term future and a long-term chance to have some ownership in a company. I always wanted to work for myself. I don't want to work for anybody else. But I knew if I was doing real estate under somebody else, eventually I'd have to go do my own thing, right? I'd have to get some ownership. Well, this the first year I got Icon status, and fast forward again a little bit. I've now done it 4 years in a row. But the first year I got it, our stock was trading at like something stupid, like $3 a share. Or actually, I think the first year was like $1.70. So I got $16,000 worth of $1.70 stock, which now is worth over 100K. And all I did that year was what I did the year before and what I did the year after and the year after, which is just put my head down and sell real estate, something I love to do. So I am blessed in the fact that for the last 4 years, I've been able to hit that Icon status. And now I am squirreling away a significant amount of stock and ownership in this company for my family and for my future. And, I think that kind of springboards me every day. When I think about our stock purchase program and some of the other things that we have that let me know that even though, we have all these peaks and valleys in real estate, you make a ton of money and then, oh my God, I don't have any closings. Then I make a ton of money and then I don't have any closings. And then just the whole like roller coaster. For me, I know at the end, and basically the last 7 years, I've put away a massive amount of stock. And that excites me every day. That's one of the reasons I get up and do what I do. I'm probably one of those lucky people that actually still likes real estate. I'm not one of those grumpy, angry, old brokers you see it at open house, and they're just thrice divorced, and they rolled in smelling like whiskey because the last night was rough and whatever else. Anyways, before we get off on a tangent, I still like what I do. That's kind of my backstory. Right now, my business has shifted. My third year in business, where I really saw my income double year over year was whenever I started adding people and leveraging my time. I started realizing about 3 years in that the most valuable thing that I have as an asset to my business is my own time. So I hired a TC, then I hired a inside sales agent, and then I brought on another person to replicate what I was doing, brought him in as a partner, and then now I'm in charge of a team of 11 people. So it's kind of like what I started learning is, given that time is so important, I needed a process to sort basically the people I would work with. And that's what we want to talk about a little bit today, which is the 5-star prospect. So, do you want me to dive right into that? I mean, I feel like I'm
so let's just kind of unpack that a little bit. So you got in, you realized, no, you're good, man. Okay. It's good because
I get excited. Excited.
Dude, man, I do too. I mean, okay. From a guy like myself that had 30 jobs before I found real estate, and I didn't go to college for any reason, and other than because my father-in-law told me that was my method to support my family, and realized, I had never had any intentions of going to college. I was always a sales guy from the very beginning. And so it was just, to me, it was like, if I can just dedicate my time into income generation, at the end of the day, that's the story. The story is you got to use your time to make money, and going to school was just a complete waste of 4 years when I could have been making money the whole time.
Right.
And so what I ended up doing was I was on the quest to find the right job and stumbled into real estate real quickly. So as your real estate career started to progress, you found that there was some magic in creating teams. And
Yes.
yeah, and it was just kind of, I was the same way. I was like, I hit my fourth year in real estate and was realizing that work until 11:30 at night is just crazy,
Right.
and I didn't have a method to do it because I live in a small town and there's no resources here except the internet.
Right.
And so there was nothing to model after in terms of how to do that. So I ended up I found a team out of Omaha that I modeled my team after, and that was kind of how I built my team. And so I'm trying to go from 0 to 35 agents as quickly as possible.
Right.
Because the people will weed themselves out. I mean, I think real estate's one of those careers that you don't really necessarily have to interview people if you kind of model the people in the right categories. You just it's kind of a hiring, it's a frequency of hire, because the thing is, like, the systems that you provide and the processes that you provide will weed out people's willingness to work. And the fact that we're all independent contractors is like, well, if you don't want to show up to team meetings and you don't want to have the conversations, that's fine, because you're going to quit eventually because you're, not dedicated to the process and the culture that we've provided. So it's fine because we won't see you anyways because you won't be here. So it's, so you're going to weed yourself out. And so for me, it's more of a, you need to take the bull by the horns and say, you know what, this is something that's magical and it is something that's valuable. Because I think that the thing about what makes, I think, our company great is the fact that we can create these teams and be just as competitive as any brokerage out there still.
Well, and here's the game changer in that. I can take on all the assets of having other agents and zero of the liability.
Right.
How epic is that? Like, oh wow, you kind of screwed up there. Let's call the guy who would also be in trouble with you, and we'll have him help you figure that out. But when you're ready to produce more income, let's talk about it.
That's right.
I mean, how great is that?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's like, it's like having the business without any of the business headaches.
Yes, or the target on your back.
Right.
Or the target on your back. The QB life. Like, I hope my QB doesn't watch this, but I could not do that. Like, forget that, man. Like, everybody's like ready to have that gotcha moment. I mean, we've all had so many gotcha moments in real estate. I screwed up an MLS listing one time. I put that there was a gas stub out on the back patio. Guess what? It actually mattered to the buyers to the tune of like $1,000 of a check that I had to cut back at closing, because I just checked the wrong box. And all it was this angry buyer's broker on the other side just out there trying to prove a point and have that gotcha moment, But QBs deal with that crap all day long. Like, I can't imagine it. No way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's awesome. So as you're progressing from, you got leads, you're starting to finally, getting some, other rainmaker agents underneath you. Right. And you're starting to realize that not every lead's going to be a buyer's lead, and not every lead you get on the phone is going to be a lead that's going to be one that you're going to want to work. So as we're talking about this 5-star prospecting method, so walk us through that.
Okay. So I use this in more than just, I use this basically in life. I use it a little bit more than, how to determine if I'm going to spend my time with people. So really, this is not an original idea. This was something I learned from a guy named Joe Schumerth, and then he got it from somebody else. So, I don't want to put my stamp on it or put my, / Michael Scott under Wayne Gretzky's, right. Under Wayne Gretzky's line. But anyways, what I learned was, first and foremost, my most valuable tool, aside from, I would just say, problem solving in general in real estate, is my time. And my most valuable asset is my time. And so I've got to maximize every day my time doing income producing activities, right? So you got your portion of your day that you're going to do basically with lead gen. Everybody does it. You all have different ways of doing lead gen. Some people do open houses, some people do online, doesn't matter. When it comes down to it, I only want to spend my time with 5-star prospects. We're going to go through those each individually, but I'll knock them all out for you real quick. A 5-star prospect is somebody who's friendly and cooperative. They're willing to engage in dialogue. They know what they want, and it's realistic for the marketplace. They want to move in a time frame that works for me, and they want me to help them. So when I meet with people, whether this is in person or it's a first-time phone call from somebody who signed up on my website or somebody who's looking at houses, first of all, I have no interest in working with these people if they're not friendly and cooperative. So if they don't check that box or they're not that first star, they've already lost my interest. I'm going to put them in a CRM. They're going to go back boiler. I'm going to let my systems do what they do. But if they pick up the phone or I'm talking to them in person and they're friendly and cooperative, boom, they're 1 star. Now, are they willing to engage in dialogue? I don't know how many times, the industry standard is what, 10 attempts to reach out to somebody before you actually get them. For me and my team, I make them do a minimum of 7 before they discard that lead. Well, if we're at 7 communication attempts and you get them on the phone and they hang up on you, well, they're not 2 stars. First of all, they're not friendly and cooperative and they don't want to engage in dialogue. So boom, move them to the back of the line. Our entire lead gen and our entire systems that we have in place are to do what? Basically move the hot leads up to the top of your forefront, top of your mind, top of your scorecard. I keep what's called a scorecard on my phone. It's basically the next 20 closings I have. These are the people that are hot, okay? When we're doing that, we have to constantly be sorting and sifting and moving people either up on that list, up to hot leads or down to warm, down to cold, all that. So moving these people through that process is how you stay productive and how you keep those peaks and valleys from happening because you're not working with people who aren't 5-star prospects. So you get that person on the phone, they're friendly, they're cooperative, they're willing to engage in dialogue. Now, that person starts talking to you and, a lot of times, like, what is everybody's favorite thing to talk about? Themselves. Yeah, yep. Exactly. I mean, their favorite thing to talk about is themselves. So most of my conversations start off open-ended. Hey, this is Kevin with Cost ABQ, eXp Realty. Notice you're checking out homes on my website. Just want to see what you got going on. And then wait. Just wait. Let them talk. They may talk about their dog. They may talk about this. But eventually, we're going to get back to housing. And in my market, the median price is $250,000, and that buys you a nice home. It's like 3-bed, 2-bath, between 1,500 and 2,000 square feet. And if I'm talking to this person and they're not familiar with our market, and they say, I want a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house for $150K, and I want to live in the nicest area of town. Guess what? They may be 2 stars, friendly and cooperative, willing to engage in dialogue, but do they have realistic expectations for the marketplace? Nope. So right. I'm going to move that person down a notch. They're not going to be at the top of my forefront. What you're always sorting and sifting for too in real estate is now, future, and never business. Because I want to be working my now business for paychecks, cover my mortgage, put money away for my kids. I want to be working my future business, which is people who are maybe 4, 3, 4, close to 5 stars, and then my never business. These are people that just sit in your CRM until they're ready for you, okay? So as I'm sorting through these people, I want that 5-room, 3-bath, and I want to pay $150. Guess what? They're going to go to my maybe future business, but probably my never. They're going to go move down the list. They're going to go to my cold leads. They're going to let my systems do what they do. Now, let's say that person has realistic expectations. And in fact, they don't want the median. They want to spend something around $400K. And they want just a really nice, plush, smaller home. Okay, well, I can start directing them towards that area. Now, then they tell me, yeah, and I retire in 10 years, and that's when we're going to pull the trigger. That's when we're going to pull the trigger. 10 years from now, I got a hard retirement with the government, and then that's when we're moving. Guess what? That doesn't work for a time frame for me, okay? Would I love to have their business in 10 years? Absolutely. Can I call them once a month between now and then for 10 years? Absolutely not. Because their life is going to change. You know, people's lives change every 3 to 5 years. They look completely different than they did. How many forever homes have you sold to people and then 3 to 5 years later sold them their next forever home?
Every time.
Every single time. I'm sitting in my second forever home right now.
Right.
You know, like I'm the same guy that I end up working with on the other side. So if it's a 10-year out or it's 5 years out, guess what? I'm going to put them off to the side. They're going to go in my cold. They're going to go in my, I call it an oven, okay? So I have one big box that I call the oven, and I put everybody in there that is not buying a house within 18 months. So they go sit over here. I let my systems reach out to them. I give them updates, whether it's daily, monthly, weekly, whatever it is they need. But when they come alive, my systems take over, especially in KV Core. It's great. Hey, somebody just revisited the website after 14 days. Oh, guess what? You're back out of the oven. Let's talk to you. Let's see if we need to go back to the oven or I move you to warm or hot, right?
Yep.
We're back to sorting. Okay. So we've talked about the 4 out of 5 stars so far. Friendly and cooperative, willing to engage in dialogue, know what they want. It's realistic for the market, and they want to do it in a time frame that works for me, which for me, I like paychecks within the next 18 months, not 10 years. Or now here's the final one. This is the most important, especially with how much access our clients have to information today. If you're just a door opener, they're going to find somebody else, right? The most important star is not only those 4, but they want you to do it for them. They actually want you to be engaged in the process. They appreciate your expertise. They appreciate your time. And that's something you don't have a lot of until your business turns into a 90% referral business. You know, my referral clients nowadays, when we set up showings, it's, oh, hey, how are your kids? Oh, they're doing great. We've got, you know, we do soccer on Saturday mornings. Oh, okay, well then let's look Saturday afternoon at homes, right? That's somebody who is a referral client. They know you, they like you, they trust you, and they're, you know, willing to work with you. That's a 5-star all day long. Somebody who's a random that checks 4 of your 5 stars, and then you find out, you go show them your first house and you walk in and they're like, oh, well, this is interesting. You know, my cousin does real estate. Wait, you're what? Yeah, my cousin does real estate. He was busy this weekend, but we're so thankful that you showed us his house. Guess what? Back of the bus, you know, put them in the oven. They're not worth your time. They do not want you to help them. Or you're showing homes with them and you've set them up on portals. You've set them up on your systems. And every house you drive past, they look at the one 2 houses down, they pull up their Zillow, and they're like, well, they're already running their own comps, right? You know, they've got it all figured out. This one over here, how come we can't look at that one? Okay, do they want you to help them? No. They want to be their own real estate agent. They know more than you do. Is that a 5-star prospect? No. So we only have so much time in the day. And the most important and most valuable thing that we have is our time. And if I could constantly be sorting people by whether or not they are 5-star prospects in my life, then the people I'm working with on a day-to-day basis, which for me, I try to have at least 15 new conversations a day. If those 15 people that I'm talking to, if I get one of them a day, let's say I work 300 days out of 365, there's a ton of closings left in there. And that's what's going to get you through the peaks and valleys of real estate, is constantly sorting your people and moving people to where they need to be, which is, you know, either right in front of you as a hot lead, they're within 18 months, which is a warm lead, or they're in the oven, which is when they're ready, they'll come back to me and they'll be 5 stars. So there, I like to talk. Go ahead.
Nice. So, okay, so you're working through the 5 stars, right?
Right.
And so one of, like, your biggest one there is, do they want to work with me? So as you're kind of moving down, and so you're setting up that first appointment. Now, I think one of the biggest failures in real estate, especially with newer agents, is they don't set up that buyer's appointment before they start running around looking at a bunch of houses.
Right.
And I think you can weed that out the moment you're having the conversation. You know, one, do they want to set the appointment that's not a go look at houses appointment? you're going to know like right then that they're not going to want to go look at houses.
Right.
That they're just like they're just monopolizing your time.
Right.
Because if they don't want to sit down and go through the motions of, you know, if they start giving you excuses like, oh, well, this is our third house, we've done this before, da 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 da, you know, and you know, one of the things that we use is our language is we use realtor language a lot of times when we're trying to talk to these people. And so they're like, well, we're hearing the same kinds of language all the time. So if you say, well, we have a buyer's orientation rather than a buyer's presentation, then they're going to sit through and go, oh, well, you're giving me value rather than you're going to throw stuff at me for 30 minutes.
Right.
You know, one of the things that there's a guy by the name of Chris Smith. He just wrote a book called, what is it called? Hey, Kenna, grab that book over there. I give these out to all my new agents.
Is it Baby Steps?
No, it's called Exactly What to Say. This book right here. Exactly What to Say. And it goes through all the different ways that the way we used to say things and how we should be saying things, and how you're talking about 15 conversations every day.
Right.
There's ways where you can reel people in instead of saying, you know, when someone says, hey, how's the market? You know how it is, like, it's like, oh, you know, it's good. Depends on if you're a buyer or seller, you know, and then you're like, hoo, 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 you know. Well, instead they say things like, well, I don't know if you'd be interested in this, but, and then all of a sudden they're reeled in, you know, they're like, well, what do you mean? Like, but what, you know, and now they're more engaged in your conversations. And so it's just ways to like psychological little twists and tweaks that you can like basically get people to engage more so that you're more effective with your time. So you're setting up these appointments, and so do you like, so here's an example. Someone's coming in from out of town. They've already told you, hey, we're looking at 3 different areas. We're looking at maybe retiring in Albuquerque. We're looking also at Denver, Colorado, and we're looking at, you know, Cheyenne, Wyoming. We're just going to be in town for the day. They've already set you up that this is obviously going to be a complete waste of your time.
Right.
They've already set you up. So now you're like, what do you do in that scenario under your 5-star prospect method?
I thank them for the time on their phone, and I send them on their merry way. And I give them the listing broker's contact information for those homes.
Oh, there you go.
You really love that one? Guess what? Susie, she's the best. Now, she is the listing broker, so, you know, technically she works for the seller, but you could give her a call. Yeah, no, that would not be somebody I would spend my time with. Just absolutely not. I'm not on a fishing expedition.
Sure.
You know, I'm not here to test the market. And if my clients are there just to test the market, guess what? They're wasting your time. You know, how many sellers are like, well, if it sells, we'll sell. Yeah. Right? You know, that's not a serious seller.
Yeah.
You know, how many of those listings do you spend time, money, energy, marketing, all that stuff, and then you never get a paycheck out of them?
Right. Because they say we're not in a hurry.
Yeah, oh, well, we're not in a hurry, you know, when it makes sense, or if we get that right offer, you know, okay, well, guess what? This is a business of abundance, not a business of scarcity. What I don't have is an abundance of time. My time is the scarcity here. So how I spend it, who I spend it with is more important to me than spending a day in a car with somebody who's testing out the market. And same thing with a seller. Signing a listing agreement just to have a sign in the yard. Now, there are people in most markets that will sign any listing agreement, any price, you name it, just to get the sign in the yard. Well, that's not how I do business. If there's not a paycheck attached to the end of that listing agreement or that buyer's broker's agreement, I'm not interested. And a lot of that comes back to circling back to, are these people 5-star prospects? Do they want me to do it for them? Is the time frame reasonable for me? I mean, if you get a listing and they're like, well, if it sells within the next year or 2, that's great. If it doesn't, so what? That's a lot of marketing money. That's a lot of phone calls you got to take from that guy at 9 o'clock at night because he's pissed because somebody ran over his front yard light, you know, and, you know, like, oh, well, geez, this is the end of the world. Let me get over there and fix it myself. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of phone calls you take from people who just aren't motivated. But when it comes to that buyer from out of town, I would send them on their way. But That's how I do business. It may be a little different than everybody else, but if you're not 5-star prospects, you're probably not going to be following me around town. We're not going to meet because I've probably gone through this whole sorting mechanism before we've basically met in person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's kind of my differentiation on that is I won't have that first meetup unless they check at least 4 of the 5 boxes.
Gotcha. And then, you know, with buyers that have these one-offs, so the drive-by ones, you know, hey, we were driving by your listing over on such and such street.
Got that call a couple days ago, right?
Yeah. So in that respect, you quickly go through the 5 stars, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, sometimes those phone calls are what's the price? Click. You know, do they want me to do it for them? No. You know, I mean, that's easy. You know, what's the price? Okay, well, it's, you know, it's 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It's got a great kitchen, you know, lovely views. What's the price? Okay, click. Like, you know, you tell them the price and it's over. But if you could take them past that, obviously, the price or the how many bedrooms is it or whatever, what I'll typically do is send them a link that adds value. So from my iPhone, I'll send them, hey, while I got you on the phone, if you don't want to talk to any more realtors today or whenever, download my app. It's free. Guess what? If it's on my app, it's available. And if you like it, give me a call. We'll take a look at it. I could show you any home on the market, not just this one. So I gave them value. I gave them a tool. Now, you know, is Zillow a useful tool for some people? Yes. In some markets, are Zestimates terrible? Yes. In other markets, do they work? Maybe. But if you're giving them something additionally that the next guy isn't, then you're already doing a value add. So I send to every sign call that I get, I send them a link to my app. And what's cool about that is I don't know how many stars these people are, if they're 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5, but they're sitting over here in the oven. They're using the app that is geo-fenced to my, you know, mid-30s face.
Yeah.
And if they want to see an open house or if they want to see a house that they run into, guess what? My information pops up. Plus, it's going to set them up on daily updates. So it's more about having those systems in the oven to where when people actually do come out of there, raise their hand, you know, I call them hand raisers, and like, I need more information or I want to go see this. Boom. Then you start your process again. Oh, okay. You know, friendly and cooperative. Yes. Willing to engage a dialogue. Yes. Know what they want. Is it realistic for the marketplace? Yes. And do they work for a time frame that works for me? And do they want me to do it? You can answer all those questions by simply giving them tools that sort themselves.
Sure. So you got that drive-by person and you're giving them value. Now they're like, well, hey, could you swing by? Could you run over here and show me the house? Because this happens quite often, especially in smaller markets and with older folks. You know, they try to, you know, well, it just so happens we're sitting in front of the house right now, you know, and so it's like, okay, well, are they willing to work with me? You know, at that point, do you just throw out the, are you working with a realtor right now?
Oh yeah, just say, oh, is your realtor not available this weekend? Oh, we don't have a realtor.
Perfect.
Oh, okay. Oh shoot, is y'all's realtor not available? I mean, let me know who it is, and I'll check with them and make sure you know y'all are good to go. Oh, we don't have a realtor. Or oh well, yeah, my uncle so and so is out of town. Oh, so I know this is a complete waste of my time.
Yeah,
that's great. Well, you know, let me see if it's a good time for the seller, and we'll go from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just more about asking the right questions. You know, how you frame the conversation is everything.
That's perfect.
And as long as you're always framing the conversation in a way that they believe that you're adding value and you are helping them, then, you know, they're putty in your hands until you find out enough information to them where you decide if you're going to work with them.
Perfect. Well, that's good, man. That's good. We're about at time.
Cool.
So where can people get a hold of you?
So I'm really Googleable. Like, just pull up my name, Google it, Kevin Mullaney, in New Mexico, and they can find me. I'm on Instagram at Kevin P. Mullaney, and then I've got a team. with 11 agents here in New Mexico. We're the top producing EXP team for the state. And you can find us at CastaABQ.com. So our team is Casa ABQ. We're also on Facebook. We're on all the socials. So just Google us.
Awesome.
Not too hard to find us.
Awesome. Well, dude, this has been high octane, good, actionable information, which is what this podcast is all about.
You told me to drink coffee before this. I hope you didn't.
I did. I said, man, you're going to do a lot of talking, so let's get it done. So awesome. Well, thanks for listening and watching, depending on where you listen to your real estate information. This has been the Success Agent Podcast. We really appreciate you guys listening. If you want some more information, you guys can reach out to me, JP Fluellen. I am everywhere, as well as Kevin. If you Google either one of us, we're everywhere. We're all real estate is sold.
Yes.
And,
on the interwebs.
And the interwebs, yes. So, yeah, I'm at james.fluellen@gmail. You guys can reach me on Insta at jfluellen. And if you want to know more about our team, the Titan Real Estate Team, just type in Titan Real Estate Team in the searchables. So thanks a lot, guys, and we will catch you guys all on the next episode. It's going to be a good year. This is the first one kicking off the new year, and stay tuned for more information, and we will catch you guys on the next show. Thanks a lot.